Testing.
Please stand to begin our celebration.
Good evening. Please join us in singing The City of God. Awake from your slumber, arise from your sleep. A new day is dawning for all those who weep. The people in darkness have seen a great light. The Lord of our longing has conquered the night. Let us build the city of God. May our tears be turned into dancing. For the Lord, our light and our love, has turned the night into day.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. May the grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with all of you. Happy Wednesday. How are you? It is a wonderful day for us, for the church, especially for this community. This evening, we're going to welcome our elects and our candidates into the church through the sacraments of baptism and confirmation. It has been weeks and months of preparation, and now here we have come to this very moment after weeks of prayers and preparation for them. And please give them big applause on this beautiful occasion. I was talking to Deacon Tim earlier that they seem to be very tense. So relax, guys, relax. It's not the end of the world. Tonight, this evening is your day, it's your night. So thank God that you have found God. Thank God that you said yes to His invitation. So this evening, we continue to pray for you, to pray for your loved ones. So let us now call to mind our sins, our failures, and ask our God for mercy and forgiveness. May Almighty God have mercy on us, forgive us our sins, and bring us everlasting life. Amen.
Glory to
God, glory to God, glory to God in the highest, and on earth, peace on earth, peace to people of good will.
We praise you,
God, glory to God, glory to God in the highest, and on earth, peace to people of good will. Amen. Amen. Let us pray. Pardon the faults of your servants. We pray, O Lord, that we, who cannot please you by our own deeds, may be saved through the intercession of the mother of your Son and our Lord, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. And please be seated.
A reading from the book of the prophet Jeremiah. At that time, says the Lord, I will be the God of all the tribes of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says the Lord, the people that escaped the sword have found favor in the desert. As Israel comes forward to be given his rest, the Lord appears to him from afar. With age-old love, I have loved you. So I have kept my mercy toward you. Again, I will restore you, and you shall be rebuilt, O Virgin Israel. Carrying your festive tambourines, you shall go forth dancing with the merrymakers. Again, you shall plant vineyards on the mountain of Samaria. Those who plant them shall enjoy the fruits. Yes, the day will come when the watchmen will call out on Mount Ephraim, rise up, let us go to Zion, to the Lord our God. For thus says the Lord, shout with joy for Jacob, exalt at the head of the nations. Proclaim your praise and say, the Lord has delivered his people, the remnant of Israel. The word of the Lord.
The Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. The Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. Hear the word of the Lord, O nations. Proclaim it on distant isles and say, he who scattered Israel now gathers them together. He guards them as a shepherd his flock. The Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. The Lord shall ransom Jacob. He shall redeem him from the hand of his conqueror. Shouting, they shall mount the heights of Zion. They shall come streaming to the Lord's blessings. The Lord will guard us as a shepherd guards his flock. Then the virgin shall make merry and dance, and young men and old as well. I turn their mourning into joy. I will console and gladden them after their sorrows. The Lord will guard us as a
with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman of that district came and called out, "Have pity on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not say a word in answer to her. His disciples came and asked him, "Send her away, for she keeps calling out after us." He said in reply, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But the woman came and did him homage, saying, "Lord, help me. It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Please, Lord, even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." Then Jesus said to her in reply, "O woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed from that hour. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated. And again, happy Wednesday to all of you. Thank you for being here with us this evening to celebrate this beautiful sacraments. The two sacraments that these beautiful young men and women are going to receive. The sacrament of confirmation and the sacrament of baptism. So congratulations again. Please give them a big applause on this beautiful occasion. Relax, guys, relax, okay? Relax. Are you all hungry? Yeah, that's why you look so tense. Or maybe just underneath your mask. We can't see your face. Maybe that's the problem. But relax, okay? Relax. Two important key words in today's gospel reading: love and faith. Out of love, the mother of this young lady who was possessed by a demon approaches and asks, "Lord, Lord, please help my daughter. She's been tormented by a demon." Out of love, she did for her daughter. As a parent yourself, some of you are here. I guarantee you, when your son, your daughter, or someone you love who is sick, what do? You want to find a doctor for that person. You want to help that person. It is not because of a sense of responsibility, but because you love that person. Isn't it true? And here, this mom, out of love for her daughter, she approached Jesus. And out of love, God approached us. Out of love, God sent His only begotten Son to come to us to heal our spiritual sickness. It is all about love. And from there, we learn the second word, faith. Jesus Christ took this opportunity to teach this woman about God, to teach this woman about faith. And these two words fit in perfectly for our young men and women here who are going to be receiving into the Catholic Church. Out of love, you come to us. And you want to grow in your faith. That's why you're here with us this evening. You do this not because we force you, we pressure you to do it, but you do it because you love Jesus. You want to learn about the faith. You want to learn about the church. Before the pandemic, I had a chance to give two talks with you. I share with you about my vocation story. I share with you about the sacraments of penance, reconciliation, the sacraments of the Holy Eucharist. And today, I will continue to journey with you. All of us here will continue to journey in this faith journey with you. Today is the beginning. It is not the end of your journey. You will continue to grow in your faith. You will continue to grow, to love God more and more in your life. You're not being alone at all in this journey of faith. You have wonderful people here with us this evening. Your family members, your sponsors, the catechists, the deacon, they've been with you from the very beginning when you came to us. They've been journeying with you. And for that, I give praise and thanks to God. And I hope that you continue to remember those two words, love and faith. That you continue to love God. That you continue to grow in your faith. It is not easy at all. Faith has good moments and bad moments. There are times when we question. It's okay. It's okay to question. But God always uses those moments to teach us that He loves you, that He loves us. He allows things to happen in our own life. He allows things so that we know His love, that we know He continues to be present in our faith journey. So thank God that you are here. Take a look around. Your loved ones here, your sponsors. They love you. They support you. They encourage you. And they continue to journey with you. And so, at this very moment, let's continue to give praise and thanks to God that all the gifts that you have received on your faith journey. You know, I guarantee you, there were times that you didn't want to come to class. I guarantee you. But out of love, you came. Out of love, you came to learn and to love God more. And for that, we give praise and thanks to God. Again, you're not alone. You continue to have our support. You continue to have our love. You continue to have our prayers. You're not alone at all. And most importantly, you will always, always have God with you. When you need something, always come to God. Just like this woman in the gospel reading, she approached Jesus, said, Lord, please help my daughter. We can always come to our Lord Jesus Christ and ask for help when we need Him. And He will always be with us no matter what. So today, congratulations again for being here with us, for being in this journey, the journey of faith. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors. With all the sponsors of these new elects, please stand. We want to recognize you, your presence. All the sponsors of our elects here. Our elects, take a look at your sponsors. Take a look at them. They love you. They've been with you for the past weeks, months, up until this point. And they will continue to be with you. So please give your sponsors a round big applause. So thank you for saying yes to our elects here. Thank you for being a sponsor to them. And please be seated. And I want to say thank you to our catechists who have journeyed with you, who have taught you. Jeannie and Deacon Tim, please stand. We want to recognize your presence also. Take a look at these two wonderful people. They have journeyed with you, right? So please give them a big applause. Thank you, Deacon and Jeannie. Thank you. And please be seated. you are loved. You are precious in the eyes of God. Know that, and He will continue to love you. So today is a wonderful day. And today, I hope you remember this for the rest of your life. Today, I hope that you will be marked with the sign of the Holy Spirit, that He loves you and that you belong to Him. Not to this world, but to God, the triune God. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And He will continue to be with you. And for that, let's continue to celebrate this beautiful sacrament with you today and always.
The elect, that's those who are going to be baptized. Would you please stand with your sponsor stand as well when your name is called. Eileen Duran, Julissa Montalvo, Faith Perez, Logan Ralph, Shane Ralph, Edith Seguentes, and Chris Villalobos.
So, my dear elects, let us pray to Almighty God for our brothers and sisters who are asking for baptism. He has called them and brought them to this moment. May He grant them light and strength to follow Christ with resolute hearts and to profess the faith of the church. May He give them the new life of the Holy Spirit, whom we are about to call down on this water. And please stand. The rest of us, please stand. Your response is, Lord, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us. Saint Michael, pray for us. Holy angels of God, pray for us. Saint John the Baptist, pray for us. Saint Joseph, pray for us. Saint Peter and Saint Paul, pray for us. All holy men and women, pray for us. Let us pray. Almighty ever-living God, be present by the mysteries of your great love and send forth the spirit of adoption to create the new peoples brought to birth for you in the font of baptism, so that what is to be carried out by our humble service may be brought to fulfillment by your mighty power, through Christ our Lord. Amen. O God, who by invisible power accomplished a wondrous effect through sacramental signs, and who in many ways have prepared water, your creation, to show forth the grace of baptism. O God, whose Spirit in the first moments of the world's creation hovered over the waters, so that the very substance of water would even then take to itself the power to sanctify. O God, who by the outpouring of the flood foreshadow regeneration, so that from the mystery of one and the same element of water would come an end to vice and the beginning of virtue. O God, who caused the children of Abraham to pass dry shod through the Red Sea, so that the chosen people, set free from slavery to Pharaoh, would prefigure the people of the baptized. O God, whose sons baptized by John in the waters of the Jordan was anointed with the Holy Spirit, and as he hung upon the cross, gave forth water from his side along the blood, and after his resurrection, commanded his disciples, go forth, teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Look now, we pray upon the face of the church, and graciously unseal for her the fountain of baptism. May this water receive by the Holy Spirit the grace of your only begotten Son, so that the human nature, created in your image, and was clean through the sacraments of baptism, from all squalor of life of old, may be found worthy to rise to the life of newborn children through water and the Holy Spirit. May the power of the Holy Spirit, O Lord, we pray, come down through your Son into the fullness of this font, so that all who have been buried with Christ by baptism into death may rise again to life with him, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. And please be seated except for our elects. Elects, please stay standing. My dear elects, do you reject Satan and all his works and all his empty promises? I do. Let's do this one more time. My dear elects, do you reject Satan and all his works and all his empty promises?
I do.
Do you believe in God the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth? I do. Do you believe in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was born of the Virgin Mary, was crucified, died and was buried, rose from the dead, and is now seated at the right hand of the Father? I do. Do you believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting? I do. Elect, one by one, please come forward. What is your name? Shane. Put your head over here, okay? Put your head over here. Remove your glasses. Yeah. Okay. Shane, I baptize you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And please give Shane a big applause. Okay, please go back to your seat, okay? And remain standing. What is your name? Logan. Put your head over here. Logan, I baptize you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please give Logan a big applause. Okay. Okay. Your name? Edith. Put your head over here. Edith, I baptize you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And please give Edith a round of big applause. All right, thank you. Congratulations. Your name? Chris, put your head over here, okay? Chris, I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please give Chris a big applause. All right. Thank you, Chris. You may go back to your seat and remain standing. Your name? Julissa. Put your head over here. Julissa, I baptize you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And please give Julissa a big applause. Okay, congratulations, Julissa. Okay. What's your name? Faith. Put your faith over here, huh? Faith, I baptize you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And please give Faith a round big applause. Okay, congratulations, Faith. You may go back to your seat and remain standing, huh? Your name? Eileen, put your head over here, okay? Eileen, I baptize you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Please give her a big applause. Congratulations. All right. We're done? All right. Folder? Folder? So, my dear elect, the God of power and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, has freed you from sin and brought you to new life through water and Holy Spirit. He now anoints you with a chrism of salvation, so that united with his people, you may remain forever a member of Christ, who is priest, prophet, and king. My dear elect, you have become a new creation and have clothed yourselves in Christ. See in your white garment the outward sign of Christian dignity with your family and friends to help you by word and example. Bring that dignity unstained into the everlasting life of heaven. Amen. And godparents, please come forward with the candles. So, my dear elect, you have been enlightened by Christ. Walk always as children of light and keep the flame of faith alive in your hearts. When the Lord comes, may you go out to meet him with all the saints in the heavenly kingdom. Amen. And please extinguish your candle. And dear community of God, please stand. My dear friends, through the Paschal mystery, we have been buried with Christ in baptism, so that we may rise with him to newness of life. Let us renew the promises we made in baptism. When we rejected Satan and his works and promise to serve God faithfully in his holy Catholic Church. And so I ask all of you, do you reject Satan and all his works and all his empty promises? I do. Do you believe in God the Father, creator of heaven and earth? I do. Do you believe in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was born of the Virgin Mary, was crucified, died and was buried, rose from dead, and is now seated at the right hand of the Father? I do. Do you believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting? I do. God, the all-powerful Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, has given us a new birth by water and the Holy Spirit, and forgiven all our sins. May he also keep us faithful to our Lord Jesus Christ forever and ever. Amen. And please be seated. Please be seated. Candidates for full communion, please stand. All candidates for full communion, please stand. Not elects, candidates only. Candidates for full communion, of your own free will, you have asked to be received into the full communion of the Catholic Church. You have made your decision after careful thought under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I now invite you to come forward with your sponsors and in the presence of this community to profess the Catholic faith. In this faith, you will be one with us for the first time at the Eucharistic table of our Lord Jesus Christ, the sign of the Church's unity.
We'd like to recognize Joshua Hernandez, Talia Huerta, Emma Magana, Robert Marval, Andrew Munoz, Marisela Perez, Minor Revelorio, Claudia Ruiz, Alec Sixta, Carla Leslie Reyes, Evelyn Pichardo, Jesus Albert Martinez, Elizabeth Alquicera, Gabby Parker, and Lawrence Cortez.
So, my dear candidates, do you believe and profess all that the Holy Catholic Church believes, teaches, and proclaims to be revealed by God? I do.
They will eventually. They've already proceeded.
So, my dear candidates, for confirmation by your baptism, you have been born again in Christ, and you have become members of Christ and of his priestly people. Now, you are to share in the outpour of the Holy Spirit among us, the Spirit sent by the Lord upon his apostles at Pentecost, and given by them and their successors to be baptized. The promised strength of the Holy Spirit, which you are to receive, will make you more like Christ and help you to be witnesses to his suffering, death, and resurrection. It will strengthen you to be active members of the church and to build up the body of Christ in faith and love. And the whole congregation, my dear friends, let's pray to God our Father that He will pour out the Holy Spirit on these candidates for confirmation, to strengthen them with His gifts and anoint them to be more like Christ, the Son of God. And please join me, extend your hands toward these candidates. All-powerful God, Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, by water and the Holy Spirit, you freed your sons and daughters from sin and gave them new life. Send your Holy Spirit upon them to be their helper and guide. Give the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of right judgment and courage, the spirit of knowledge and reverence. Fill them with the spirit of wonder and awe in your presence. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And candidate, one by one, please come forward with sponsor.
Will the congregation please stand?
Saint Genevieve, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Very good. And please go to your seat. Okay. Your saint name? Saint Christopher, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Your name. Saint name. Saint Monica, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint name. Saint Thomas More, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you. Dear saints. Saint Abigail. Saint Abigail, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint name. Dolores, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Your saint's name. Saint Francis, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Philomena. Okay. Saint Philomena, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint? Saint? Oh, Padre. Padre Pio, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Maricela, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint Valentine, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Your saint's name? Saint Jude. Saint Jude, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Your saint's name? Saint Matthew, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Your saint's name? Saint Jude, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint Joan of Arc, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Okay. Okay. Your saint's name? Saint Joseph, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint Patrick, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint's name. Saint Francis, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint's name? Huh? Saint Damien, be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Saint Catalina. Saint Catalina, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Your saint's name? Saint Rose of Lima, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. Your saint name? Saint Rita. Saint Rita, be sealed with the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you and with your spirit. So, my dear friends, please welcome the new members of our Catholic family. Inspired by the faith of the Canaanite woman, we too come to the Lord with our needs.
For all priests and religious, may the Lord continue to bless them in their vocations, let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
That those who have been baptized and confirmed will be blessed with great holiness and will always be a blessing for the people of God. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For state and federal leaders, may the grace of the Holy Spirit empower them in their efforts in protecting all life from conception to natural death. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For those who experience doubt that God hears their prayers, may the peace of Christ console them and strengthen their faith. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
That our catechists always convey the beauty of God's word. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
For this faith community and those seeking to become one with us through the process of Christian initiation, that we all are made in your image and likeness, and may all assume full likeness of Jesus in grace and spirit. Let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer.
And for the sick, especially Lino Fernandez, let us pray to the Lord.
Lord, hear our prayer. Almighty God, source of all creation, you have made us in your own image. Welcome with love those who come before you today. They have listened with us to the word of Christ. By its power, refashion them, so that in time they may assume the full likeness of Christ, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen. And please be seated.
Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life. God is my shepherd, so nothing I shall want. I rest in the meadows of faithfulness and love. I walk by the quiet waters of peace. Shepherd me, O God, beyond my wants, beyond my fears, from death into life.
Pray, my dear friends, that our sacrifice may be acceptable to God, the Almighty Father. May the Lord sacrifice in your hands for the praise and glory of His name, for our good of all His holy church. Receive, O Lord, we ask, the prayers of your people with the sacrificial offerings, that through the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the mother of your Son, no petition may go unanswered, no request be made in vain. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you and with your spirit. Lift up your hearts. We lift them up to the Lord. Let's give thanks to the Lord our God. It is truly right and just. It is right and just, our duty and our salvation, to praise your mighty deeds in the exaltation of all the saints, and especially as we celebrate the memory of the Blessed Virgin Mary, to proclaim your kindness as we echo her thankful hymn of praise. For truly, even to earth's ends, you have done great things and extended your abundant mercy from age to age. When you look on the lowliness of your handmaid, you gave us through her the author of our salvation, your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Through him, the host of angels adores your majesty and rejoices in your presence forever. May our voices, we pray, join with theirs in one chorus of exultant praise as we proclaim.
Holy, 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 Lord
the highest. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Hosanna in the highest. Please remain standing. You are indeed holy, O Lord, the fount of all holiness. Make holy, therefore, these gifts, we pray. By sending down your Spirit, upon them let dew fall, so that they may become for us the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. At the time he was betrayed and entered willingly into his passion, he took bread and gave him thanks, broke it, gave it to his disciples, saying, Take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you. In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took the chalice, and once more giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples, saying, Take this, all of you, and drink from it. For this is the just my blood, the blood of an eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many, for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me. The mystery of faith.
When we eat this bread and drink this cup, we proclaim your death, O Lord, until you come again.
Therefore, as we celebrate the memory of his death and resurrection, we offer you, Lord, the bread of life and the chalice of salvation, giving thanks that you have held us worthy to be your presence and minister to you. Humbly we pray that partaking of the body and blood of Christ, we may be gained to one by the Holy Spirit. Remember, Lord, your church spread throughout the world and bring to the fullness of charity, together with Francis, our Pope, Kevin, our Bishop, his assistant bishops, Tim, Thomas, and our clergy. Remember also our brothers and sisters who have fallen asleep in the hope of the resurrection, and all have died in your mercy. Welcome them into the light of your face. Have mercy on us, so we pray, that with the Blessed Virgin Mary, Mother of God, Blessed Joseph, her spouse, blessed apostles, and all the saints who have pleased you through the ages, we may merit to be co-heirs to eternal life, may praise and glorify you through your Son, Jesus Christ. Through him, with him, in him, O God, Almighty Father, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is yours forever and ever. Amen, 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 amen. At the Savior's command, and formed by divine teaching, we dare to say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Deliver us, Lord, we pray, from every evil. Graciously grant peace in our days. By the help of your mercy, we may be always free from sin and safe from all distress, as we await the blessed hope in the coming of our Savior, Jesus Christ. For the kingdom, the power, and glory are yours, now and forever. Lord Jesus Christ, who said to your apostles, Peace I leave you, my peace I give you. Look not on our sins and our faith to your church, and graciously grant her peace and unity in accordance with your will, who live and reign forever and ever. Amen. And may the peace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with all of you.
Let us offer each other the sign of peace with a bow or a wave.
Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world. Have mercy on us. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world. Have mercy on us. Lamb of God, you take away the sins of the world. Grant us peace.
Behold, the Lamb of God. Behold him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb. Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter my roof, but when you say the word, my soul shall be healed. With all due respect, the Holy Communion is reserved for practicing Catholic. If you don't practice your faith or from different denominations, we ask you to be seated and continue to pray for the new members of the church. If you wish, you may come forward, cross your arms, and we will give you a blessing. And for the receiving of Holy Communion, please allow our new members to receive communion first. And the rest of us will receive communion after the final blessing. So thank you. At this moment, I ask you to join me in saying the prayer for those who cannot be with us this evening. May our Lord Jesus Christ come to them spiritually. My Jesus, I believe that you are present in the most holy sacrament. I love you above all things, and I desire to receive you into my soul. Since I cannot at this moment receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart. I embrace you as if you were already there, and unite myself wholly to you. Never permit me to be separate from you. Amen. stand. Let us pray. As we receive this heavenly sacrament, we receive, O Lord, your mercy, that we, who rejoice in commemorating the Blessed Virgin Mary, may by imitating her, serve worthily the mystery of our redemption through Christ our Lord. Amen. The Lord be with you. And may Almighty God bless you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. And one more time, please give them a big applause. Congratulations and welcome to our church.
Go in peace to serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Those who were
You can have these guys.
in the dark are thankful for the sunlight. We who live, we who die, are grateful for His gift. Thankful for His love. Behold the Lamb of God. All who eat, all who drink shall live, and all who dwell in God shall come to know His glory. Peaceful now, those whose hearts are blessed with understanding of the wheat, of the wine, united with His word, and the love we share. Behold, behold the Lamb of God. All who eat, all who drink shall live, and all who dwell in God shall come to know His glory.
All right, now it's time for picture, huh? So one by one, let's come up here for pictures.
So we'll go for any pictures we want. If there's any family members that want to get a picture, just hop up in front. Don't be shy. But
Stand right here.
kind of watch the line, see you
Young
guys
man,
right between us.
right here. Two of you, stand right here. All right. Remove your mask so we want to see your face, okay? Okay.
Up when we take the picture.
Hands up like this as if you're receiving